Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not, and you're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan. But you knew that, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hey, Potter Than Hellions, welcome back to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Steve, your host. I'm joined as always by
BC
and
BB.
We have a special returning co-host this evening, Mr. Jim Polkowski.
Hello, hello, hello.
And on keyboards tonight is me,
The pod.
So if this sounds like total ass, it'll be my fault. It'll be on me.
Keyboard solo.
Yeah. I know I'm not pressing. I'm not pressing any more buttons here. I got it to record. Looks like we're doing good.
Double duty tonight.
Unless the editing sounds like crap, then that will be on Dylan.
Yeah.
But if the recording itself sounds bad, it's going to be me.
So you're going to fix it in the mix?
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
Little studio wizardry from Dylan. Hopefully, will help me look good here. So what's up, dudes? Welcome back. It seems like it's been forever since we've been recording, because once in a while when we double up on the episodes, it seems like it takes forever in between episodes that we record. Let's go around the table here. It's been a little bit, so what are we listening to? BB, what do you got going?
I've been really scoping out a lot of the new music out there, especially just like singles that everybody's releasing. Like The End released a song.
The End Machine.
The End Machine. That's right. Sorry, my bad.
I was always saying that.
I call it The End too.
Yeah, and then Last in Line released one. It's just a great.
Well, the whole album's out now.
The whole album, yeah.
All right, cool. Jim, what do you got going these days?
Oh, gosh.
I'm sure it's going to be something interesting.
Well, I've been listening to everything from some 60s pop to classic metal, and just scoping out some albums I haven't played in like a long time. I threw on Power Age to celebrate that one, and obviously it was nice going back and hitting the Motörhead set, stuff that I haven't played in a long time. Things all on that.
Cool. BC, what about you, my friend?
Other than some Motörhead, the new Dream Theater I've been checking out.
How is that?
I love it.
Cool.
But then against me, so. And new Last in Line, and even the new Tora. So, I mean, trying to take too much in at one time.
Yeah, I've been kind of binging on, by the time you guys hear this, the channel may be off of XM, but I've been binging on the KISS channel on Sirius XM. I've been listening to, like BC, the new Tora, Dream Theater, like BB also, on Last in Line. My Slash binge is still continuing, fellas. I don't know. I'm just like, I'm addicted to.
Well,
I think I'm making up for
that disc I just handed you tonight.
Oh, that's true too. Jim gave me a cool show from Slash that he has for me. It's great. All this great new music out there is excellent.
And I have to say, KISS sounded great from the whiskey. I listened to that show. That sounded phenomenal to my ears.
There was no backing tracks for Paul then, because he was a little bit rough. But
I prefer that.
And I've heard it probably 15 times, like just the times that I've just like put it on in the concert. It was on tonight, right before I came down here. And like the version they do of "Let Me Go Rock and Roll" is like totally kick ass on there.
They just sounded.
And you know what? And we were talking about songs that we hated until we saw them live. We were talking about that a little bit before, and one just came to mind. I always hated "Say Yeah" when KISS would do it. Like, I don't know why, but like the last couple times I heard it, I don't know if it's hearing it. Maybe on the KISS cruise, like since we totally got screwed on the set, we were the test subjects for the End of the Road tour, and I think that "Say Yeah" was probably the song that I really was probably the deepest track that they play on the tour, and it's kind of grown on me, which I didn't, because I do like Monster better than Sonic Boom, but "Say Yeah" is kind of grown on me. So
that was one of the better songs they did in this set from the whiskey. I thought
it was great. I liked it. I love the guitar at the end. That I really like that, and I think it's cool. And
I thought it was just nice to hear, like you said, no hiding behind vocals, just out there in your face
Nothing,
live.
and
it
no,
was great.
it was just it was a club show. It was no pyro, no lifts, no bombs, no.
It
no
just
nothing.
goes to show you that they're one of those bands who doesn't have to hide behind that stuff, unlike Motley Crue.
Well, there's some hiding going on apparently, but
And another thing with that channel, they kind of went really deep.
there's
a couple
a ton of
times
shit.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like really surprised that they played it, and
And
they
they're playing
really
a lot of
they really
Ace.
did a great job with the.
And you
Yeah,
think-
they're
With the month they
you know
were
they're
at the
digging
run.
into the solo albums and everything.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of shit from the Peter Criss solo album.
I hope they don't get rid of that channel because I enjoy it.
I hope they keep it. I really do. They say
I think
through February, so we're recording
Yeah.
on the last day of February today. So, like I said, when you guys hear this, the channel may be off the air. I don't. I hope not.
I
But
hope not, because I have to reprogram my thing, and that's a pain in the ass.
yeah. So
Old guys
you know,
don't get along with new technology.
Yeah,
I'm
I know.
sorry.
You know, you get it once and you're like, how did I get that? Well, I don't care. I got there anyways. So yeah, so you guys check out new music that's going on. Jim's listening to some old '60s pop and some metal. New AC/DC Power Ridge.
Bobby Darin, believe it or not.
Bobby Darin. Okay, hey, to each his own.
Something, and Buddy Holly. A lot of Buddy Holly.
Buddy Holly's cool. Better than that crappy Weezer song from Buddy. BB's listening to the End Machine, Last in Line, BC Last in Line, also Dream Theater, Tora Tora, same thing for myself. And I gotta say, BC, I do agree. The Dream Theater album, and this is from a guy that kind of gets bored with them easily. It's great. It's like a straightforward hard rock album.
Did they ever put out that 3 CD album out of Japan, the live one? They were supposed to do it, and I remember I got
don't know.
I got a bootleg from that show, and somebody said, "Oh, they're going to be re-releasing it, mixing it down," and
Oh, I don't know.
it was a 3.
Come on, DT boy.
Yeah, because I remember I grabbed it and I said, "This sounds great."
Oh no, I don't know. It could be. It could very well be. Definitely.
Because there's a great company out of Japan that somehow gets a nice matrix mix between somebody recording in the audience and somebody pulling it off of the in-ear monitors, and they sound better than so many live albums. I have made 2 shows from there in Japan, and it beats the living shit right out of
yeah?
Live Book of Souls
Oh, that's
completely.
All right, awesome, very cool. Okay, guys, so there's a ton of new stuff out there. Support music, get out there, buy it, check it out. Whether it be vinyl, buy it digitally, CDs. CDs are still awesome. Vinyl's final, right, BC?
Amen.
And before we get going, we'll take a little break for the news. All right, people, in the news this week, a couple of news items. Nothing earth-shattering or, crazy like, jaw-dropping kind of shit here. LA Guns, they're dropping the new album. It's coming out March 22nd. They just dropped a new song from it called Rage with a new video. It's really good. It's got that raw LA Guns sound kind of from the first album. And they released another song before that, and I don't recall the name of it, but it had kind of a cocked and loaded sound to it, like the riff kind of reminded you of maybe like Rip and Tear or something. So really good. Glad to see LA Guns still actually back to consistently putting out albums.
I've never been huge into LA Guns. I always meant to try them out more than I have. What I've heard, I've really liked, but I don't know. They just get mixed in with me with the LA glam scene. I get swept up in that giant wave, and they get lost in the tide, I guess.
They're good. They're even better now that Tracy Guns is back with Phil Lewis. And sorry, fellas, I don't recall the other 2 guys' names in the band. There's a rhythm guitar player and a bass player also. We saw them in last year at the Day 3 of M3. And the new album, by the way, is called The Devil You Know, and it's coming out, I believe, March 22nd. So definitely check it out. It's the LA Guns that you grew up with. It's got that raw sound that's it's really good. So just trust me, just check it out. And Queensryche, apparently Scott Rockenfield feels that he's okay to move on. He's okay with Queensryche moving on from him not being the drummer. As we know, Talatore played the drums on the new album, The Verdict, that came out last Friday. And the album is very, very good. The drums are cranking on there. Just excellent. Have you listened to it, Dylan?
I listened to a little bit of it. What I heard, I really liked. I enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to have to dive into that to listen to the whole thing. I just haven't gotten a chance to.
Yeah, it's good. And they played on the Monsters of Rock cruise. That Stephen and Sonny from the Grown Up Rock podcast, they were there last week, and they had a great time, they said. And I saw I think it was Stephen's video from Queens Wright. They played like on one of the last shows on the cruise, and their touring drummer is Casey Grillo from the band Camelot, and we saw him grill. I'm saying Grillo. We saw him play with those guys at M3 last year, and he was great. Even though Scott Rockenfield has that, very distinct sound, the guy fit in very good. I think he was really good live. It wasn't a boring drummer to watch. He was ripping it up.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised the difference a different drummer can make. Because thinking about Megadeth, the difference between the one drummer that was the brother of the guitarist at one point,
yeah,
and the drummer they currently have is a million times different.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure if he's the same drummer in Megadeth now.
No.
The guy that was with them when we saw them, and the guy that drummed on Dystopia, they're kind of in and out. But the lead guitar player is the same dude though.
Yeah, the lead guitar player is really good now.
He rips it up. I really like that guy. He was great live. He didn't seem so stiff and precise.
There was a lot of back and forth going with the band, and I was very surprised by that.
I'll tell you what, a lot of people don't realize how much lead guitar Dave Mustaine plays, and he friggin' tears it up too. He's just great. So, and there's a new Megadeth box set coming out, Missiles on Your Head or something like that.
Yeah, stupid. It was a stupid name, in all honesty.
But the cover's really cool, though. The cover's really cool.
Cover's cool.
But just check that out. And Megadeth is supposed to release a studio album later this year.
Yes.
I don't think it's named yet, but...
No, they have not released a name.
They said it's supposed to be back to although I think Dystopia was
good.
Was great. I thought Dystopia was excellent.
I like Dystopia better than 13.
I did too. There were more memorable songs.
And Super Collider.
Super Collider, I love though.
I
thought Super Collider was
for me, Endgame was the last amazing album before Dystopia.
I really liked Super Collider though. I thought Super Collider, Kingmaker, fucking excellent.
Kingmaker is good.
And Alice Cooper just announced, I'll say, his tour this summer with Hailstorm.
Yep.
And Motionless in White will be opening up, will be the third band on that bill. And going to be great, I'll tell you what. But I don't know what happened, Dylan, because if I recall correctly, Ace Frehley was saying a couple months ago that he was planning a big summer tour and he was going to co-headline with Alice Cooper.
Oh, boy.
So I don't know what happened with that, if he was just talking out of his ass or after all the back and forth went, maybe the Alice camp was screw this guy or whatever, but apparently Ace is not. I'd rather see Lizzie Hale.
I was going to say,
she's a lot easier on the eyes than Ace Frehley.
I don't think it's too much of a, shucks that we're getting Hailstorm instead of Ace Frehley.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I haven't seen Hailstorm. I'm really excited to
I've
check
actually
him out.
never seen Hailstorm either.
And actually, something that connects to where we are geographically, Motionless in White is from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I mean, it's in our neck of the woods in northeastern Pennsylvania, so it's really cool to see hometown boys making good, and they're a great band.
And that's a big. I have to listen to them. I've heard a couple songs.
They're the harsh vocals that you aren't a big fan of, but they're very good.
But is it the harsh vocals all the way through the songs?
No, there's some clean.
Okay.
It's very
as long as it's
similar.
not all that, I don't mind it too much.
It's very similar in vein to Einstein Kills, and actually their latest album is a little more mainstream, I'll say.
A little less screaming.
And actually, there's a song called 570 on that album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah, shouting
that
out
I've
to
heard.
the area code.
That's our area code, by the way, you guys. Yeah, so check that out this summer. Come into a venue or amphitheater near you. However, the Alice show, by us, is the day we would be leaving for Rockin' Pod.
Is it?
Yep.
Of course it is.
But there's one in New Jersey the next week that I think we can.
We might have to hit that then.
Yeah. So I think we can hit that.
This is a tour we can't miss. I love Alice. I haven't seen Hailstorm, and it'd be really cool to see Motionless in White play a show like that.
And the show near us is at Bethel Woods, which is a kick-ass place to see a show too.
I do like Bethel Woods.
Damn. But hey, you can't make them all. And Dylan, you got a little announcement here.
Yeah, everybody, you may have noticed that we placed a bracket for our March Madness episode on Facebook within the last week. This is a contest for you guys. We're doing an episode where we've each given a bunch of albums from the 90s to now that we think would be considered in the pantheon of the great albums, and we're mashing them up head to head. And there's a chance for you guys to win a T-shirt and maybe some other little nifty gifties, cozy, or
little Potter than Hell gift pack.
Little gift pack. Yeah, if you guess the the right winner, or if you get close on all the picks of the brackets. We're going to look at all of your suggestions or all your brackets that you send in. They have to be sent in by Tuesday, March 12th, for it to be considered in the contest. If you get in past that date, I'm sorry, we can't do anything about that, but March 12th will be the last time you could submit your bracket to see if you win the contest, and we'll announce it very soon after that, probably the Saturday after the episode gets released.
Because it is March Madness, people.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll have a little consolation prize too. Maybe we'll get something out there to someone else that's either close or I'll figure something out.
If there's multiple winners, we'll figure something out.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll have a winner, and then we'll pick a random name out to win like the consolation prize.
Yeah. So send in the brackets to potterthanhellpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll count them up. We'll look and see who comes the closest. It's going to be a fun episode. I'm really looking forward to it. Last year we had so much fun with the brackets of the bands. We decided to do albums this year to change it.
It's going to be a little different this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a great episode last year. Yeah, and this year this is going to be my vacation week, so I will be on a golf trip this week. So I will not be participating in the March Madness. In the show, I filled out my own bracket.
Yep.
And Dylan was kind of surprised of how it actually came out.
Yeah,
and I was too, but it how your bracket comes out, it all depends on how the ones before it go. I was actually surprised at how mine went. Like the last two was tough to pick.
Yeah. And we're doing a little contest ourselves to see who comes out the winner. We're going to do whoever's bracket is correct, and also whoever's album ends up the ultimate winner, and we're going to do a little Monopoly money action going on.
We have a little inter-podcast wager going on.
Yeah. That's always fun and adds a little strategy to the game.
Yeah, we want to get you guys involved and let us know. Give us your brackets. Get your March Madness going. And thanks for listening to the news, you guys, and we'll get right back into the show. All right, we're back from the news, and we brought Jim back here. He was on with us last year. We did the Motörhead episode with. We did the first 4 albums. We did. I forget what they
did.
are.
Motörhead, Overkill, Ace of Spades, No Sleep to Hammersmith, Iron Fist.
Okay, that's where we left off at Iron Fist. So, Jim, recap us at the end of Iron Fist, and then we'll get right into Another Perfect Day.
Iron Fist, Fast Eddie produced the album, and they were a little disgruntled with things, and Fast Eddie, they went out on the road, they did a European tour, they came to America, and it all went to shit when they did the recording with Wendy O. Williams. Fast Eddie didn't like it, he didn't play on it, and he walked out of the tour. They did 2 shows. They did Toronto, which was filmed, and you can find that online, and then they did one other show after that, the Palladium in New York City, and he walked. So they got in a pinch. They called up Brian Robertson, said, hey, can you learn the set? He finished out the tour. A week later, I believe that it was in Harpo's in Detroit. They pulled up, Harpo's in Detroit. He did that show, did the tour, and they decided, hey, let's do an album together.
All right, that takes us to their 6th studio album.
If you count
the
non-compilations and other, they got so many different labels.
Yeah,
it's the audio
and the label deal that those guys have. There are many lawsuits and everything, but between them and the various labels that they've been on. But according to the great Wikipedia,
which is always right.
Absolutely. Another Perfect Day is the next album. It's the only one with Brian Robertson, who was one of the guitar players in Thin Lizzy, and Guilty Phil was a huge Thin Lizzy fan, and wanted to get him in the band.
Yeah, because he felt that Motörhead wasn't taken as seriously as musicians, so they brought in Brian Robertson to do the album. And the best description of this lineup was right direction, wrong personnel. Brian didn't want fit in. He didn't want to do any old songs by Motörhead on tour. Matter of fact, I went and did some research on what the tour set list was, and if you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, the whole Another Perfect Day album they didn't do Ace of Spades. They didn't do like the hits that the people
Right.
want to see, because he was too cool for that. And I don't know whether you know it, around this time, Brian Robertson, Phil Lynott, and Filthy were going to do put a band together. However, Phil Lynott was in real rough shape, and it just didn't work out. And some other interesting plot twists, including Thin Lizzy. We'll get into it later as it comes about. But I thought this was a great album. It was a joy to listen to. I haven't played it in a year. Like I was telling you, I have my copy is autographed by the band, and so it's sitting in a frame. So I just, pulled it down,
Carefully take it
out,
down.
listen to it, and it was just Die You Bastard. I just love that song. It's a great album, and Lemmy always said everybody hates it, but they love it now. And you know what? Probably right, because it's just seemed lost in the track, because it had just a strange lineup. Everything was falling to shit on them, and but it is a killer album.
All right, guys, what you guys think of this album?
I really enjoyed it. I thought with the new addition to them, it just brought a whole different sound. And out of the four we're going to talk about, this is one of my favorites. I thought it was fantastic, and it's just a different element of the band. And I know he didn't fit or anything, but just the guitar tone to it. It just brought like a different element
And
to
Tony
the
Platt,
band.
the producer, he worked with Mutt Lange on Highway to Hell, and he also produced Flick of the Switch, and so he had a whole new element to the band.
BC, how about you?
This is my first time ever hearing this album, to be honest with everybody. I liked it. I mean, it had the guitar, like I said, I didn't look too much into it, just listening to it. Guitar sound is different. I mean, of course, it starts off with the classic.
Just
bass
him
sound,
noodling away in the studio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
And like Jim said, Die You Bastard, just
That's a great song.
that stuck out the most for me and this one.
And they did Rocket when we saw them.
Yes, they did.
Did you know that?
Back then, I was like, I gotta confess. I mean, here's a band that
We're not deep
about
into,
it, but weren't really deep into until
right? We
few
were
years back
we were
now.
definitely late to the party,
big time late for the party.
unfortunately.
I can't pinpoint it. Like to sit here and say, I love the, but it's good. Everything's
They
good.
bring an attitude. They bring an
It's-
attitude. You feel like a Neanderthal.
Right. But you know what? And it's not metal.
No, it's
It
rock
is
and
not
roll.
heavy
No,
metal.
it's
It
rock
is
and
not.
roll.
It is. They're a rocket. And Lemmy's right. We are a Motörhead. We play rock and roll, and they do. They are a rock band.
It's definitely that metal. No.
As far as my thoughts on this album, I don't like the production on it. I don't know. I think a lot of the drum fills are lost. They're a little muddy. The vocals are kind of low on some songs, and they're a little up and down, I think, and they're a little lost once in a while. Brian Robertson, friggin' kills it, though. The solos are, friggin' scorching. But there's, a couple that are, really, screechy. Kind of reminds me of, an owl screaming or something. Let me look here.
Like the Marching Off the War, like that one. There's some crazy distortions in that one.
That song is mixed terrible, and I have a couple different notes and stuff like that. Like Rocket, that's a song that is
Better than Def Leppard's Rocket.
actually. And if you listen to Rocket, the beginning of that sounds exactly like Under the Blade from Twisted Sister.
Well, considering their history together,
Right.
with the Twisted Motorway Jam at Reading in '82, I mean, Lemmy, took Twisted Sister under the wings, and who knows?
Right.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like Spirit
and
and Led
it's-
Zeppelin.
yeah.
It just kind of rubbed off.
And I like the album. Another Perfect Day is great, and there's some of the solos on there, like this outro solo on Die You Bastard is friggin' phenomenal.
It's just got a groove to it.
It's pretty much a typical Motörhead album, but I think Brian Robertson throws in that extra element of something different. He's definitely not Fast Eddie Clarke,
No.
and you can hear that there's a different approach to the solos in the song. I really like it.
I think, when they had Fast Eddie was interested in the band, and when Brian was with them, Brian was interested in I'm Brian Robertson, and so that's the way his solos stand out, to try and be the guitar hero.
Right. I think he succeeds on many songs on there. There's a couple that have a couple weird things on there, like on one track, mine the solo's like really like strange on that one. But I mean, good start, and this was the only album that Brian Robertson played on, and it's actually kind of long for a Motörhead album. It's like 44 minutes long.
There is a King Biscuit Flower Hour recording with Brian Robertson out there, and it's pretty damn good. I believe it was recorded at L'Amour's for obviously for the King Biscuit Flower Hour, and it was released either on their label or some other shifty label. Seek it out. It's a good listen.
King Biscuit Flower Hour was great. That used to be on Sunday nights on our local rock radio station, Rock 107.
If you did like the band, you listened to it.
Yeah.
I rolled plenty of tape when they were on.
I did too. That's where I discovered Pat Travers. I was on there one night and they played Pat Travers concert, and I had never heard Boom Boom Out Go the Lights and Snorting Whiskey, and then they played a song called Rockin' on there, and I remember I recorded that concert and I played that song over and over again. The solo in that song is so fucking excellent. That was another one that I played the tape, and eventually they get eaten, and that was gone. But then that came out on CD years later, and I remember picking it up. I think I remember telling BC, and I lost it, and I was pissed because it was one of them deals where you go to get your CD and it's just a case, and I was like fuck. And then I found it on eBay, and the guy, and there's a town called Einan about 5 miles from where we live. The guy that was selling on eBay was in Einan. So I saved the shipping on it. I went down and met the guy, gave him the money.
Awesome. So
first thing I did when I got that CD, threw it in the car, listened to it on the way home, took it right out, took it in the house, burned like 3 copies of it, put them away, and then put the CD away, and I listened to the burned copy forever. So, but the King Biscuit Flower Hour was great, because I remember Priest was on there, Kiss was on there.
Yep. Queen, I remember first time I heard the fast version of We Will Rock You on there. It's like, whoa.
And there was a great Dire Straits concert was on there too, and it was excellent. And
Saxon.
I mean, so
the
and
Saxon
I know
one
some
has
of
also
them
been released, I believe. At least I have a full copy of that.
I know a couple of them have been released as live albums, but
Deep Purple.
not all of them. Really? That one I didn't
with
hear.
Tommy Bolin from Long Beach in '76 is out.
Oh, that's cool. So, if you guys wanted, I'm sure a lot of them are probably on YouTube. You probably find them. So,
out there
once again, Steve gets backtracked. So, so Brian Robertson and Jim, give us the lowdown on how they got rid of this guy.
He was just pretty much a mess. They tell the one story that they thought he was looking intently into a display at a store, and they realized he was passed out up against it, bottle in his hand, and it just didn't work out because he was just like his fashion sense, the way he would be wearing the ballet slippers. And when he joined Motörhead, he decided to cut all his trademark long hair off and dye his hair pink, and doing stuff like that. It just basically went out of his way to rub everybody the wrong way, and it just had to part ways with him.
And he's actually on stage with like shorts and looking like a goofball, and I can just imagine Lemmy looking at him like saying,
and their
what
their target audience in England was the Hells Angels. According to Lemmy, they had to stop them from killing him.
Yeah, and they thought they were going to kill him. Yeah, So, but I mean, if you look back, check out some of the videos from there, you could see you're like, what? This guy, he's wearing like ballet shoes and everything, playing. It's like. What is this? Like, it's like you have Lemmy and the drummer, and then you have a guy from the Village People playing. It's like it's crazy.
And Lemmy said, like when Thin Lizzy was with Brian Robertson used to wear like the silver and the white, and Scott Gorham would work the dark black. And he said we could do something like that. And he's like, no. He just wasn't a team player. Basically, comes down to it. He just wasn't a team player, and he just always wanted to be the guest star from Thin Lizzy.
Yeah, so they dumped him in the middle of the tour. Right?
No, they finished the tour.
Oh, did they finish the tour?
They finished the tour. I think it was 80-some dates. They finished the tour somewhere over, I want to say Spain or Italy, in late '83, around Christmas time or whatever.
Now, do you like that set list that they did?
Oh, I like it because I like that album.
Right.
I like. Tell us about that too, Jim. I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
I did. I
barely touched that. I'm just curious because there was no.
I went on the Setlist FM, and they had a play count from the tour, and if you look at it, there's like 10 off of the new album, and then the other 5 is classic Motörhead. They didn't even do Ace of Spades. They would open with Iron Horse. The other ones that they did was Bite the Bullet, Heart of Stone, Chase is Better Than to Catch, Go to Hell in America, and the rest was all from Another Perfect Day, plus a guitar solo from Brian in there. And like I said, I didn't mind it as much, but like Lemmy said, even though he was sick to death of Ace of Spades, you got to play it. The fans want to hear it.
Yeah. And that's great because back then, they just used to play the hits. Like, how odd would it be for a band to go out and say, we're going to play 10 songs out of the 14 that are on our new album?
Maiden did it for, what was it, the Matter of Life and Death tour. They did the whole album.
Jeez.
And then they just did 5 songs afterwards. And I remember you were at the
I was
Midlands.
there. I was at the
I
Midlands.
got hit with somebody's drink they were throwing at the stage because the casual fan wanted to hear Run to the Hills and the Trooper and all that.
And the
But
real fans,
well, we all
don't wanna
knew
hear
going
it.
into it, this is what we're going to
Yeah,
get. And
yeah.
that was one of the best shows. I
thought
love
it was
that album.
fantastic. I was kick ass. That was great. Yeah, you have certain, but like Maiden could do that. I wish more bands would do that.
It's what I hate about a lot of bands, and like AC/DC or in Deep Purple would be, you got this standard set list, and then we're going to insert 3 new songs, and they never change from the stuff that they did 35 years ago. 3 new songs. 35 years ago, 3 new songs. I don't like that. But Roger Glover said people get pissed off that you didn't play the songs that they didn't want to hear on the last tour.
Right.
And I get it. I mean, for Deep Purple, I would love to see them do a tour with just Steve Morse material. I love their stuff with
That'd
him.
be great. He's kick ass.
He's a shredder.
Freaking kick ass. Yeah. And when we saw Deep Purple this year up in Bethel Woods, and I wasn't, and I even told these guys, I said, I don't think that Steve Morris has a lot of chances to really like tear it up. But boy, was I fucking wrong. Because I remember BC calling after, he's like, "Holy, what the hell are you talking about?" I said I had to be talking out of my ass on that one because I was totally wrong on that.
There's, again, we're going to get off on a tangent here, and I apologize. Get the Live from Olympia CD with Steve Morse. See if you can track down. There's a 6-show CD box set with Steve, and some of the stuff they play, like, and he's just dueling with John Lord, and they're shredding, and it's the speed and the. Yeah, he could tear it up with it. But a lot of people get pissed off because he doesn't play Smoke on the Water the way Richie did.
Who does?
Exactly.
Truthfully. Really, who does?
Yeah.
It's not Richie, it's that.
Yeah.
Richie don't even play it like he used to.
Yeah.
But that's where people. That's if you go on any of the Deep Purple fans, like, he doesn't play it like Richie. Well, they didn't hire him to play it like Richie.
And now, how can you expect anyone to do that? You know.
Yeah.
But
reminds
it
me-
is crazy though that Brian Robertson didn't want to play any like Motörhead songs, being in Motörhead. Only the stuff that he played on, which is crazy.
I'm surprised Lemmy put up with it as long as he did.
Yeah. So they dump him. What do we got next, Jim?
Well, they dump him, and they're in the process of looking for a replacement guitarist. And it came down to 2 guys, Phil Campbell from a band called Persian Risk, and a guy named Mick Burston, we all lovingly know as Wurzel. And he sent a letter in saying, I hear you're looking for an unknown guitarist. Well, there's nobody more unknown than me. And Lemmy liked that. And so he took them down to the rehearsal, and he let them, hang out together, and they decided, well, hey, maybe we both can do this gig. And Lemmy was thrilled with that, only to find out that Filthy Animal said, I don't want to be in Motörhead anymore. I want to do something with Brian Robertson. I want to go off with him. Maybe me and Phil will get it together. And like we said earlier, that turned to crap because of unfortunate problems with Phil. And so there wasn't a band. There was no band, and then they were booked to do The Young Ones. I don't know if you remember that British TV show. No. It was a comedy
I've heard the
show.
name before.
And it was just goofy, but they were on it, and then Filthy said, all right, I'll do the gig. He did the one show. Again, you can find the video of that on YouTube. But then he left, and so they hired Pete Gill from Saxon, because Saxon toured with them on the Bomber tour, and he always admired Pete's drumming, and let's bring him in. And very, very good drummer. Total different style than Filthy. Filthy seems to get into one speed, and he stays at speed.
Right.
And he can't vary from the theme. And then you got Pete Gill, who could be a little bit of everything.
Mix it right up.
And they did 4 songs on a Forced Contractual Obligation album, best of, called No Remorse. And they're killer with Killed by Death, obviously, is a great song. I don't have the list in front of me.
I got 'em.
I didn't think about it. Let us see. They did Snaggletooth, which I love. and which is the name of their mascot. And cue me on the other two that I'm forgetting about that they did.
Steal Your Face and
Oh, yeah.
Locomotive.
Yes, great tunes.
Yeah, did you guys check them out, BCBB?
I checked them out real quick, and I
Okay.
didn't write anything down.
Well, they're fast songs.
Yeah,
so they would do that.
Yeah, I checked them out. Kill by
Yeah.
Death has been a live staple for these guys since that came out.
That to me is probably one of the greatest videos ever done. When he
That's
rides out
awesome.
of that grave, it's just like,
That's
yeah,
freaking awesome. and the song is fantastic. That is definitely a quintessential Motörhead song. Snaggletooth, the solos in that song are just tearing it up. And I really like the dual guitars, and it's like chunks up the sound so much. And Steal Your Face has got a really cool groove to it. The guitars are great. Locomotive drums are awesome in that song, and it's a short one too, but it's short and to the point. And what they did was it was a double vinyl album that came out, and there was one new song on each side of the album.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, ended each side.
Yeah.
And I think they did two other songs that were like B-sides. I can't remember. I
did see that, but I didn't really check that.
And then they got in a lot of trouble for the photo shoot that they did for Killed by Death, with the several different ways of being killed. I think the one that pissed everybody off was Wurzel on the cross.
Oh, really?
And
That I didn't see.
they did a firing squad, I believe. What else was there? Electrocution. They had four different ones, but of course, Wurzel on the cross. It's like, sorry, but the last time I looked, Jesus wasn't the only one crucified. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but that's just my opinion, not necessarily the opinion of the Potter and Hell
That's
podcast
right.
people.
That's a
Send your hate mail to me.
Podcast. Yeah. So, but and they recorded Orgasmatron, which for first time for a 4-piece. It's produced by Bill Laswell and Jason Casero. They recorded in 11 days. I gotta say about this album, the first two songs are mixed terrible.
The whole album is mixed terribly.
But if you listen to the first two songs, they sound like they don't even belong on the rest of the album.
Especially the drums. It sounds like the drums are recorded in a tin can.
Total different sound to the rest of the album. I was listening to it, and then when Ain't My Crime came on, I'm like,
it's a lot clearer.
Wow, holy shit! Like, what a difference just between the first three songs.
I know what my claw is for.
I mean, great song. I think it's excellent. And the album was supposed to be called "Riding with the Driver," which is one of the songs on the album. And that's another one of them that's got a really screechy solo on it. But you got Dr. Rock on there that they played all throughout their career. Orgasmatron is an excellent song. Bill for Speed's got a cool intro. And I love the guitar at the end of that. Ain't My Crime I think that's a good pit song for Motörhead. I think would be a real good song. People would like get into it and everything. So Mean Machine, kick-ass rocker. It's out of the gate, shredding solo. The solo's a little low in the mix, and that's another part of the album that is weird to me. Like, the mix is horrible on this album.
I always
but
hated the mix
good
on it.
songs, though.
I always hated the mix on it.
And they actually, even for the two guitar players, I think there's a lot of weird guitar pieces on this album. I like the stuff when they really shred, but there's some odd things on this album, I think. What do you guys think?
I get the sound. I mean, the first song, Death Forever. I mean, the drums on it. Oh my god! Like, almost took me back to that Metallica album.
It's very dry sounding.
Very
Yeah.
very like.
They went all Saint Anger
Even the
before
second
Saint
one-
Anger was out.
Yeah, and then I like the guitar solo, Nothing Up My Sleeve. But the beginning wasn't really. After that, the drums sound way better. Like Claude and the Bill for Speed and Dr. Rock is sons of bitches. But
No curse on BC.
sorry. Yeah, but I mean, this to me picked up later. To start off a little bad for me.
Yeah, what I really liked about this album was like the dual guitar, because you're not used to that. Mainly what I always remember from the early Motörhead was Lemmy in his in-your-face bass and a heavy bass drum, and then you get this two-sided guitars, and like, oh wow, that's it. Once again, it brings a different element to music that you already enjoy. And a couple songs for me that really stuck out. I really love Claw. I just love the lyrics to it. And you touched on something. Even though the song is kind of muffly, but Nothing Up My Sleeve has an awesome solo in it. And another one, Riding with the Driver, I thought's another really fun, just a kick-ass Motörhead tune.
It was. I liked the album. Like I said, the first thing is like the production, like really twists your head around. But It's got some great songs on it. Dr. Rock was in the set list for so long. Also, I believe they also played that one when we saw him down in Philly. I'd have to double check it.
What song was that?
Dr. Rock. And I like Lemmy doesn't get credit for being as deep as he is. Like when you think about what Orgasmatron, it's all about hypocrisy and all this other.
Right.
And he's right. I can't stand that myself, and I hate it if I find myself being a hypocrite at times. And it's just, you think of him as just all just rock and roll, sex, drugs, lyrics, and no, he can get deep and put it in a way that, wait a minute, is he singing about what I think he's singing about?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, definitely unexpected type of really depth to Lemmy, and I think as you go along, you see that come out in some other songs also, because there's one song that we're going to talk about later on that just like totally fucking blew me away.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with that one.
And we'll definitely get to that one, and we'll see if you're right at the end.
Ooh.
All right,
no
guys.
fast forwarding, people.
Yeah, no fast forwarding. So,
well, what's interesting about it, when Pete Gill was fired, they got Filthy back for a tour, and all things considered, I saw the first show with the Animal back in Old Forge. I don't know if you're aware that they played.
I remember they played there.
That was Pep O'Brien's and became Autographs. I was at that show. It was a killer show. And I saw my shirt that says The Animal is Back on the back of it. And it didn't have the whole big stage production that they had earlier in the tour with the train that would come out and the drums. It was just a bare bones club show. It was them, a band called Malice, and Savage Grace opened up. And I remember like everybody from the opening bands came down front and were down front watching the show. And the funniest thing is, a friend of mine, I talked him into coming to the show, and he was like Hank Senior country fan. And I brought him to the show, and he was the only one not wearing black leather in the whole venue. And afterwards he goes to me, Lemmy is the coolest fucking guy I've ever seen in my life.
That's awesome.
And it was a great
there was a conversion that night.
Yeah, it was.
I remember hearing about that. What year was that?
1987, April 4th, 1987.
I remember hearing about that show, and I was like a year out of high school then, and I
don't know. I think that was an over 21 show.
Oh, real? Oh, my. Oh, well. See, Jim is much older than us.
Yes. I'm the old man. And I remember, like, when Ace played there,
yeah,
people were pissed off because the kids had to stay up in the balcony, so they moved an area down for them to get close.
I would have been 19.
But it was a great show. I remember Lemmy at the bar chatting to people. It was just...
Is that place still around?
Yes, it's a church.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Praise Lemmy.
It's a church. And the funny thing is, the strip club next to it is now a steak joint. I don't know why they don't
Was it Lou's Blue Room?
Yeah, that place, Autographs. Blackfoot played there. Twisted Sister played there.
I remember a bunch of bands played
Cheap Trick played there. Ace, Motörhead, and it's now a church.
Yeah.
And they had a plane hanging from the ceiling, a Cessna plane hanging from the ceiling. I remember that about it.
I think I saw maybe 2 shows there, but like that was when it was starting to close.
Yeah.
Like when shows were starting to move out of the area and stuff. Yeah, there was. I'll tell you what. There's a lot of bands that played around here. It's, and just the ones that Jim named, and the other ones that we've seen playing around and stuff. It was just crazy the bands that played here.
I'm gonna hit you with this one. Groucho Marx said, New York. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. He says no, Scranton. If you can entertain those drunken miners and get out of there alive, you got yourself an act.
Yes.
Will the Wild Bill was it Wild
Bill Hickok?
Yeah, his show came to town. A friend of mine said his grandfather remembers seeing him at the train station, and he just remembers him with the long white hair and the leather. So this town rocked.
Yeah. Because I remember we used to have a theater in town here where our hotel is now, the Irving Theater. And the guy that used to run the projector there was pretty much the film historian in the town here. And all the vaudeville guys played here. Like Bob Hope and like the Three Stooges were here. Like Abbott and Costello. Like all those, the comedy teams and the guys like Bing Crosby. And they all played here in town.
Wow.
Because it was a big, beautiful theater. I mean, I remember being in there when I was a kid. It closed in the probably mid-'70s, I want to say. But I remember being there because my dad was friends with the guy. I was up in the projection room when they're running the movies and stuff like that. But there was a lot of big name, and back in the day, that'd be like if Van Halen played in Carbondale now. It really, because there was a lot of big name talent that came through. This area
was one of the biggest areas in the country back at in the first turn of the century. Now that we're in the new millennium.
Yeah. So, all right. That was another little tangent going off there.
Sorry, we'll stop.
But it's cool though. I mean, it's funny how you get talking about one thing and another, and here we're talking about shit in the 20s and 30s. But it's I consider it kind of relevant to the caliber of talent that has been through this area, and we're still getting some, but it's kind of a little more around us, I think, than like
2 mile or 2 hour drive.
Yeah. So, I took an hour and 10-minute ride to see Cheap Trick last week. So, down at Sam's.
And I heard you had a wonderful time.
I did. Some tall motherfucker was in front of me,
and it wasn't me.
It wasn't him. I know. It wasn't. I know. Me. If you go to a concert with Jim, make sure you're in front of him or on the side of him because he's tall too. He's not only old, he's old and tall.
And the glare from my bald head.
we're gonna get him a headband or babushka.
You never have to worry about losing him.
Yeah.
No, that's true.
Judas Priest and who played Judas Priest?
Judas Priest Saxon.
Yeah, and where the first band was. We're like,
Black Star Riders.
Yeah.
There's Jim there.
Yeah.
Like he's way up there. He is.
There is. Well, that was
the head and shoulders above the crowd.
That was the same thing. Lori, my girlfriend, was with her cousin up in one of the booths up top, and she calls me to say, "Where are you?" And I'm like waving, and I could hear her in the background. See that bald fucking guy down there? He's that's him.
Right there. That's him.
All right. So hey, first 2 albums in. What we'll do now is we'll slide into a little hidden gem, and then we'll come right back into the show. All right, people, time for a little hidden gem action here. And let's start with our esteemed guest this evening. Jim, what do you got for us today, my friend?
All right, my week has been crazy, and I didn't think about it, but this one is one I have been playing, and I didn't mention it to you guys earlier. It's not really a hidden gem. It's just a new release of a band that I would like just to get more.
You could just call it a gem.
Okay.
It's a gem from Jim.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to go with the new Raven live album, Screaming Murder, Death from Above, live in Aalborg. It's just a phenomenal live album. And the story behind it, I think, is so cool. They played the show, and the guy who mixed it came up to the drummer, handed him a flash drive, goes, "Here's the show." He threw it in his gym bag. Didn't do anything about it until the record company said, "Well, we don't want to put out your new album just yet. How about we do an EP or something?" And so he went through it and he found it. He said, "We got a whole album here." And it's a live raw album, except for 5 seconds overdub on the second song in when John broke a string on his bass. And they just dubbed that in. It's just live the way you hear it. It's just in your face, the way I remember seeing them on that tour. And I'm a happy camper.
Awesome. BC. How about you? Come on, you have to have some kind of wow factor tonight. You're kind of sitting there like a little mushroom tonight. Come on, wow us.
No
Shock the people.
Shock the people, damn it.
Shaka Khan?
Shaka Khan.
No.
Shaka Khan. Man, I've been getting back into XYZ. Back in, like I said, they came out too late. We got lost in the oversaturation of the scene back then. But a few years later, they released like a live album. Came out in 1995. It's because Take What You Want, Take What You Can live. It's about 9 songs, 10 songs. I'm sorry, of live, and then some other demo stuff that was thrown in there at the very end. But if you like XYZ, and definitely check this one out because it's live.
Do it.
Who's in the band? Remind me, refresh my memory.
Terry
Lewis.
Terry
Lewis.
Terry Lewis, yeah.
Lewis.
Lewis.
Sometimes people pronounce it different.
Because I remember the name, and
They were a good band. They were.
Because I remember that was, I believe, going to be the name for Asia when they went with Asia. Okay.
Terry,
Okay.
He was replaced Jack Russell in Great Way for a little bit.
For a long time.
Yeah, if you think about it, it seems like a little bit.
Quite a few years. You got
I
the
guess-
vocal stylings of Mitch Malloy in there now.
Oy.
I can't say good or bad. I haven't heard anything with Mitch Malloy singing in Great White.
I saw it.
They had a thing on
Blabbermouth. They had a couple videos because I think
no
they're
offense to
actually
Mitch Malloy, but I really don't have much interest in it.
Yeah, I think they're actually releasing a DVD from a show in Kentucky.
They're working on the album,
And
apparently.
let me tell you, when he sang "Rock Me," I'm like,
Yeah.
it was like you
Adam
or I
Lambert singing
trying
Queen?
to sing "Rock Me." That's
Like
what
Adam
it sounded
Lambert
like.
singing Queen.
That was horrible.
Well, I got to give him credit. He didn't try to sound like Freddie. He sounded like himself.
That's true, and I
So-
don't like him sounding like himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bradley Cooper got fucking boned, by the way. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
throw
by
that out
Lady
there.
Gaga on the piano.
Yeah, well,
So I think he
not
made
that,
out much
but,
better.
I mean, screwed out of the Oscar. But the guy that did Freddie Mercury was very. If Bradley Cooper didn't win, I wanted him to win.
He's good.
So, okay, I digress.
Again?
BB, you. Oh no, go ahead, BB.
I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
I'm just going to pick a song this week. It was a unreleased song from Skid Row. It came off their 40 Seasons Best of Skid Row in 1995. The song is Forever. And it's not the Kiss song, it's a Skid Row song.
Gonna suck then.
Just
Is it
to,
Skid Row or because it's Forever by Kiss?
and I can't
Easy
believe,
now.
I don't understand why it was never released because it's really good. It fits the genre of the Skid Row album when it was supposed to be on there. I guess they just never released it or it didn't fit
Now
on
it's-
the album.
Just an unreleased track, right?
Yep, it's called Forever.
From the first album.
Yep, but it's on.
But look at that album. What do you chop?
What do you
off?
chop though? Right. So, yeah.
I remember
it
you,
fits
I would
it
chop off
fits
personally,
it
but-
fits there perfectly. Boom.
Sorry, ballad people. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jen.
That's the
and
one that
actually,
paid the bills.
That was a Jen's pick too.
Oh, that's right.
On the first
See?
ballad show.
What was
See, she
it?
should have picked Forever. No.
Do you have that list on there?
What's that?
There's Forever, and there's another one or two on there.
Yeah, I think
There's
there's
a
actually,
couple, yeah.
I think there's 3 of them that are unreleased. Forever, Fire in the Hole,
Fire in
and
the Hole.
Fire the Hole.
Great.
Fucking excellent.
Psychotherapy.
Fire the Hole.
Thank you.
great.
I mean, I was waiting for. If I heard it, I'd be like, "Fire in the Hole" is the song that
It
rocks.
seems like
That does.
Psychotherapy
That
is
does.
a Ramones song.
Cover, yeah.
Yeah. And that
But
was
yeah,
they do that good.
They put that on that B-sides one,
The
right?
B-side ourselves.
Yeah. Cool pick. I do know that song though, but Fire in the Hole.
Fire in the Hole,
friggin' phenomenal.
It floated around the phone the other day. I'm like, oh wow, I haven't heard that song in a long time. So
Cool, good pick. My pick kind of ties into the episode here. It's from an album that I talked about last year. It was one of my top 5 albums. It's from a band called Blood of the Sun from the album Blood is Thicker Than Love, and the song is "Keep the Lemmys Coming."
yeah,
And it's just and immediately, as soon as you hear this guy start singing the song, you immediately think Van Halen. And tell me what song this is, BB. Come on now. I'm bringing whiskey to the party tonight.
Take your whiskey home.
Nope.
I know. Take your whiskey.
D.O.A.
I'm looking for somebody to squeeze.
It's Romeo with the Light, isn't it?
oh okay.
Yeah.
Right? But that's how it starts, and then I'm getting ready to crash and burn, hauling ass, going nowhere, never to return. Got one thing in my mind, and I'm ready to rock and roll. Keep the Lemmys coming all night long, ready to lose control. And just a slamming song.
I'm drinking a Lemmy right now.
Jim's having a Lemmy tonight with us, but it's just a rocking song. It's and I talked in length about these guys on the one episode. Just a great band. They have that element of the heavy keyboards in there, rocking guitar, just a slamming band, and that's my Jim. It's just a little Motörhead tie in there. Sure. I figured. So check out our hidden gems, guys, or just Jim's Gem. Jim's got the Raven live album. What's that called again, Jim?
Screaming Murder, Death from Above, live in Aalborg.
That is
Nice.
a mouthful and a half. But you guys, we checked out the All for One Raven album a couple episodes
Yeah.
ago, and like I said, I don't.
Jim is sporting the shirt
a Raven
there.
shirt this evening.
Thank you.
It
Thank you very
seems
much.
weird to see a Telecaster on a Raven shirt, though.
That's all he plays.
Really?
That's all he plays.
See, I need to check out Raven some more.
I don't know whether they say that's all he plays.
Oh, the
That's-
Flying Visa
The
bass.
Flying Visa
The
bass.
bass.
That's funny.
That's all he beats the shit out of.
Oh, okay. See, and like I said, when we did that episode. Here's another band. Just that there's so much shit out there. Like I don't know how I missed these guys. So I will definitely
Management
checking more of those
issues,
guys out.
lousy record label. Got to remember, they were on Atlantic, and Atlantic thought AC/DC was going to be just a one-hit wonder. So,
Well, there is that. Okay. So we got Raven from Jim. We got Skid Row Forever, unreleased track from the first Skid Row album from BB, and we got Take What You Can Live, XYZ from BC. I haven't heard that BC, I don't think. I'll have to check it out.
I'm looking for a vinyl of it. I think there are a few vinyl.
If you have the vinyl of that
If you have the vinyl,
of
contact
that
us.
LP,
Please
contact
do.
BC at the Part of the Hill podcast.
Absolutely. I don't know. Jim showed me a picture of the Raven guitars. I gotta check them guys out more.
You got to.
All right, let's slide back into some more Motörhead here. Rock and Roll album comes out in September 5th of 1987. Filthy Phil Taylor returns on the drums.
The return.
We're back to a little less time of an album, 33 minutes, and album number 8. Background, Jim.
Well, they said they thought it was just a good album, and it's got a lot of great stuff that, I mean, Rock and Roll is a great breakup song. Not that, boo-hoo, I'm crying in the beach in this video. It's just, fuck you, I'm over you and I'm moving on. I got rock and roll. And that's what breakup songs are supposed to be. Like, and then they get into some stupid fucking ballads and shit. But it's got some great stuff on it. Like I said, Rock and Roll, Eat the Rich, which you hear a lot on satellite radio. Trader, which was in the set for a long time, and Boogeyman, but The Blessing. Oh, bless these boys. And
The Monty Python guy.
Yeah, and the story was he owned the studio, and they brought him down and said, well, what do you want? And they said, well, you remember that scene from Meaning of Life? Oh, you want some clergy? So they just did a thing, one shot. And it's just like you listen to the album, and they don't even mention it on the credits. All of a sudden, this comes on.
It's weird. It's
like,
really weird.
And it's like, okay. I mean, that's one thing I people also forget, and I think that separates, in my mind, the British metal scene and rock and roll scene from the American. Is it the sense of humor that they come off with is tongue in cheek? They don't take themselves so seriously in that way. Like I said, you said it was the first album back with Filthy, and they got him back, but he had an offer from Brian Downey from Thin Lizzy, had told him if I knew, I would have loved to play drums with Motörhead, and Lemmy said if I knew that, I would have really just gave it to Filthy. Said, here, we got your idol playing drums, replacing you.
Yeah,
and that would have been an interesting sound
interesting
to hear Brian Downey on drums. He's got a great feel to it, and I could just see him with that one. And they felt that the producer Guy Bidman was a lousy choice for production, and it just was. And they thought it was an okay album. Wurzel's head wasn't into it. He had a lot of problems in his personal life. And it just was marred with some issues. The tour took a month delay because visa issues and stuff like that. But it's a good album. It's a good rock and roll album.
I agree. I mean, I guess it charted the worst of all their albums.
I don't know. It depends on what charts you're looking at.
It depends, I guess. But I mean, to me, I like it. It's a good, steady. To me, a good Motörhead.
Yeah.
Straight ahead, classic formula. I mean, I like
It was an album, you knew what you got.
Blackheart. I just love the solo. Stone Deafening USA solo again. Solos on this album I think are phenomenal. And of course, I like the way the bass and drums and groove and the dogs. Digs. And again, the solo in that song. But overall, great album, I think.
Yeah, I think Rock and Roll, the album's fantastic. The opening track, Rock and Roll, is killer. It's a great opener. It almost reminds me back of like an Overkill song. It belongs there somehow. And Blackheart, it's such like a Rocky blues type guitar riff song, which was really, really cool. Definitely USA, there are so many fast guitar riffs in that one, which I thought was really, really cool. And another one that I thought it's probably not a great one for the guys here. I really love the All For You. It's like so bluesy and different. It just really caught my ear. I thought it was really, really cool. Righty, what'd you think about this album there, Captain?
I really wish that these guys would have gotten a better producer for these albums. I would have loved to seen with like a Mutt Lange or a Jack Douglas or like a Bob Ezrin or a Eddie Kramer would have done with these guys, because this album I love it, but the production sucks. The songs are up and down in volume, and it's kind of all over the place sound wise, but there's some kick-ass songs on here.
Can I ask you a question? How did you listen to it? Did you listen to it online, or do you have the vinyl, or what? Because what I'm getting at, and maybe you just online, a lower generation or
I listened to it.
I agree with you. The production's off, but I'm just.
I listened to it from. I listened to the CDs and I listened to it on iTunes also.
Okay. Because like sometimes like you know
the
like
deluxe version I listened to also.
Right.
But like there really wasn't. They didn't really fix a lot.
No,
it's all over the place.
It's all in the budget, and the budget wasn't for a producer.
Yeah, and I would have loved to see what one of these guys would do with these guys. I mean, they would have just like I think it would have totally just maybe put these guys over the top where they may have been on like our radar a little sooner, BC, than
or maybe they would have
they
pissed
were.
everybody off the way Metallica did with the Black Album.
Yeah, but look where Metallica is now too, though.
I agree. I agree. You know what? I lost them an album before that, but I am obviously one in the exception. I was like, you know, no, you know what I mean?
The new album's great, though.
Yeah, the new album is great. I have to admit that. The new album is like, oh, you finally decided to play some rock and roll again.
Yeah. And I like the songs on this. Rock and Roll is great. It's got a scorching soul. Eat the Rich is a fantastic Motorhead song. It's just a cool song. It really is. Blackheart is one of my favorite ones on the album, but it sounds much lower than the other ones. The bad production on it just kills me. Great solo and the dual guitar solos. And there's a grinding part like right after the solos that is like phenomenal. Just kick ass. Stone Deaf in the USA. The volume's back up again. Another great rocker. The solos are great. The Monty Python guy. That was that is what it is. The Wolf is cool. It's got like a really abrupt ending. Like it ends when you don't think it's going to end, which I think is kind of cool when bands do that kind of shit. Traitor. I think that's a different kind of sounding song for yeah. It's kind of drudging, I think, a little bit, but it's really good though. And Dogs, BC, you hit it right on the head. It's like a funky bass line on it, which is like so not Motorhead.
Yeah, Lemmy plays chords.
Yeah,
Lemmy plays chords. He doesn't usually do like.
No, I know. I was like, wow, this is really cool. And the guitar work in that song is fantastic. All For You, boom, the sound is down again on this song. I'm like, what the fuck? But All For You, I think it has a Bill Haley and the Comets sound to it,
which is
in a
his
feel,
roots.
which is it's a rock and roll album. It's called Rock and Roll, but it has that 50s rock sound to that song, and the solo's great on it. Boogeyman is really cool, and the sound's back up again. And like I said, I love the album, but like, God, the production is just fucking kills me on this one. But I really like it. I think it's a friggin' kick-ass album. I really do, and I like the chunked up sound of the two guitar players, which actually we'll get into a little bit more now. Let's talk a little bit before we move on to the next studio. And let's talk a little bit to No Sleep at All, the next live album that they did, and this is their first live album as a 4-piece.
Production is horrific on that album,
and
I remember throwing it on and going, just didn't like it.
I enjoyed it. I put it on the other night, and I was like, wow, this is.
I just happened to listen to it about a few months back, and that's the first thing that got to me. It's like.
Now, see, like I listened to that right after I listened to Rock and Roll, and I was like, "Wow!" Like at least it's consistent through the because I mean I'm sure they're all songs from different shows and stuff like that, but at least it's consistently produced. Good or bad. I don't think it's horrible.
No,
I think it's way better production than Rock and Roll, but at least it's consistent, and the set list is phenomenal on it.
I think what my problem with it, I was expecting, and my fault, let's try and get the No Sleep from Hammersmith sound out of it.
Right.
And obviously you can't catch lightning in the bottle twice.
No, you can't. But, I mean, I don't think it's horrible. Set list is Dr. Rock, Traitor, Dogs, Ace of Spades, Eat the Rich, Built for Speed, Deaf Forever, Just Because You Got the Power. Just Because You Got the Power is one of those.
You got the right.
That's one of those songs on the 12-inch ones that were released.
Yeah, okay.
That was one of those songs. Killed by Death and Overkill. Then there's like bonus reissues with Stay Clean and Metropolis on it. And then there's another one, the Greek single with Acropolis on it and Orgasmatron. But the main album ends with Overkill. And I texted BB. Remember I texted you? I texted BB the other night. I'm like, I don't know if you have time to do it, but because we were mainly talking about the studio albums. Did you get a chance to listen to it, BC?
You first told me I started listening to it, and for some reason,
God. But and I texted BB. I'm like, this fucking rocks. I was like, and I literally just got done listening to Rock and Roll, and I was so pissed off about the production in it. But then when I put the live one on, I'm like, this is. I like this.
Yeah,
that's
pure Motorhead right in your face.
Such a raw, in your face kind of thing about it.
Yeah, there's so many better. They do so many better songs live on this album. That like that song "Dogs" is amazing on here, and then "Eat the Rich" is another good one. I thought that kind of stuck out for me.
Not the Crocus one, BC.
Yeah, I just
Bite down
this
on that
is really
son of a
fantastic.
No Crocus?
And the way they close the album with "Overkill" is just
But they always end with Overkill.
yeah.
We got it from BC, from BB.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's a fantastic live album, and it's short. Just like Motörhead's albums. Boom,
Right to the point.
kick your ass, boom, 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 done.
Yeah, like I said, I just happened to listen to it a few months back, and I just was like I said, the production was not what I wanted. It is a great album. It is a great live album, but it was just for me. It was just I was looking for something a little different. I have like so many different bootlegs, and that might be part of the reason I'm kind of like I'm used to this. Like I was saying earlier about the Japanese bootlegs from the last Maiden tour, I love better than the live album, and so it's just I always think Maiden's live albums just kind of they don't capture them live, and I think maybe that's what it is with this one. They just to my ears they didn't really capture them the band the way I wanted them to. Let me on the mixing desk. I'll fix it for me.
Oh, there you go. See that?
There you go.
It all comes back in the end. All right, so 1916.
All right, 1916, there was a bit of a span between this album and the previous one. Sorting out management, sorting out record labels, trying to figure out production. And Lemmy did some movies during the time. Like he actually did Eat the Rich, which came out in 87, and Hardware, and 90. And it just trying to keep the face out there, keep the name out there. So then they go to Sony, and he felt that Sony was on they were on the Sony tax write-off label, so they didn't get the push that they wanted to. And this is a different album where they try a lot of things, like the first side all the way up to Going to Brazil. I love Going to Brazil. Up to that one, I'm So Bad Baby, I Don't Care. And then Love Me Forever, it's like, really? You're gonna go with the power ballad? And it's like
It was 1991.
yeah, and they tried it, and then Angel City was kind of different, and Nightmare and Dreamtime was kind of like, okay, an acid trip. And then they kind of start kicking it back up with Ramones, Shut You Down, and then they do the proper ballad, 1916, the title track. To me, that's a ballad that moves you, and it really is different. It's the subject matter is about the Battle of the Somme, where whole divisions, I think 20,000 people died in like 45 minutes on an attack across, like entire generations from towns lost forever. And it's just, to me, I'm not a fan of the ballad unless it sounds like you mean it. It's a lot of ballads to my ears sound like a cash grab. They're formulated. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some good metal ballads out there, but to me they're few and far between. Leave it to the experts. Leave it to the Christopher Crosses, the Chicagos, the ones who know how to do it, not the ones who are just, like I said, it's formulated to me. But this does not sound formulated at all. This is like, he meant it. This is my tribute to the fallen. It's, to me, it's like one of the greatest songs he's ever done.
Threw this one on, and I'm just gonna real quick here. One side to the blue drums. I'm So Bad Baby, I Don't Care. I love the rhythm. You said like cranking. And to me, No Voice in the Sky, maidenish guitar style. I thought for some reason. I heard
Which one?
No Voice in the Sky.
Okay.
Going to Brazil, good rhythm. The Nightmare, Dreamtime, I don't know. That they get me. Love Me Forever. I like the guitar and did the solo.
Yeah,
The rest
I mean,
is
it's
fun.
not. It's not.
I like Doro's version better.
Yeah, it's not. It's not what I think it was nice to see them try different things, but I don't think it worked.
It did gel.
Angel City, just the solo, and then the little solos. I mean, to me, what catches me on this album is the solo. And Shut You Down, get the guitar, fast-paced guitar. And then 1916, like I said, I have to listen to it again because so. Then that's different.
It just and then you don't forget you got the epic track Ramones. I mean, that's just it goes on and on and on for a minute and 40 some seconds.
It's a minute and 26 seconds.
Yes, but that was the Ramones. I remember
Yeah.
somebody told me went to see the Ramones, and they did like 30 songs in an hour.
Yeah.
Just 1, 2, 3, 4, bam, right into it. That was the Ramones. So a perfect tribute to that band.
Exactly.
This is another great. I thought this was a great album. I'm So Bad, it's so funny. It's almost like tipping your hat. Thank you for my one night stand. Blah blah blah. Going to Brazil. I love the piano guitar back and forth mix of that song. I thought that was really really cool. And it's another, it's like another level of Motörhead you don't expect. Nightmare in Dreamtime. That the little thing he does in the beginning is so cool. That like that little gnome talk or whatever he grumbles. And I thought Love Me Forever, even though you may not, I thought vocally that was his best song on the album. It actually seems like he's really singing in a way. And then 1916 that should be like on every like Memorial Day celebration. Like I could see it like on like a Private Ryan type thing, like running credits of that playing in the background. But great album, great.
When you were talking about the piano in Love Me Forever, you remember they used to have ABC in concert on like late night? Mm-hmm. And I remember the night that Motörhead was on, and they showed them doing Love Me Forever live. And what stands out to me is they showed the guy on the side stage playing the keyboard. One note, just banging that one note. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's playing that one note like it was the greatest note known to man. He's like, listen to my note, motherfucker.
I'm playing with Motörhead.
I'm playing one note. And it's like, were any of the other keys turned on, or was it that the only one that worked?
They isolated everything else.
Yeah, but I just remember that from that show. And then, I don't know if you saw the Tonight Show when they did Going to Brazil on there. It just destroyed when he was on the Tonight Show doing. They had Motörhead on there doing that. It was killer. It was a killer. It was
Back then,
92-ish, right afterwards. The new album March or Die was out, but they also did Going to Brazil.
so that's like Jay Leno, right?
Yeah, and it just kicked ass.
All right, 1916, finally a consistently sounding album, I think. I think out of the 4 studio albums we talked about, this is the most consistent production-wise. Produced by Pete Swoley and Ed Stasium. I couldn't name anything else these guys ever did. But at least it's to me it sounds consistent compared to the other albums. The one to sing the blues, Good Rocker. I like the cadence and the vocals on that song. I think it's got a really. I'm always a sucker for like a good like rhythm of singing on songs. I think that has a really, and the solos are ripping on that song. And that's another song that has that abrupt ending that I really like. I'm So Bad Baby I Don't Care. This song is Motörhead. I love it. It's got it's a great song. The soloing is great in it, and I'm really digging the 2 guitar player version of Motörhead, because I really haven't delved into these albums too much. And I actually have these on CD, and I was surprised. And I remember I went. I think after we saw them open up for Maiden, I think at the Garden, I think I really kind of went on a Motörhead binge after that, and I bought a lot of the CDs. So I actually have the CDs for these albums. No Voice in the Sky, good song, kind of melodic for these guys. The solo is really short, but the outro solo, listen to the outro solo on No Voice in the Sky. Kick ass. Just like, I'm like, holy shit, like, totally rips it up. Going to Brazil, fun rock and roll feeling song. That's just another wow song. Nightmare Dreaming, it's got that little backwards talking or whatever. Very different kind of dark song for Motörhead, I think. If I had to like send a song to Exile Island from this album, it would be that one.
That'd be that one.
There's the ad.
Love Me. Weakest link.
Love Me Forever. It's okay. I like when Doro does it better. Not that I'm not crazy about the song to begin with, but not a ballad guy. Angel City, Back to Rocking. I like the solo in it. The lead. I like the horns in that song. Yeah. Different from Motörhead. You have a couple of songs with piano, like a couple of their albums, but like the horns, they kind of sound.
And they're
pretty
mixed
cool.
perfectly. Like you go about the mix. It's not
but that was the thing back then. Like you had the horns in the Aerosmith songs and a bunch of different bands. David Lee Roth, Little Ain't Enough. There was horns on songs and that. I think that was what was going on then. But it
I think
works
that's
on
all a
this song,
tribute
though.
to was it Bob Ezrin, who did Welcome to My Nightmare and
Yeah.
and Destroyer and all them. He would put them in the mix. He'd say, "Wait a minute, is that what I think I'm hearing?"
But it works here,
yeah.
though. It absolutely works. And if you told someone, like when Ace of Spades came out, that there'd be a Motörhead song with horns in it that would be good, you'd be like, yeah, okay, right. But it definitely works in that. Make My Day, another screaming rocker. The solos in this song, I think, are the best on the album. They just absolutely tear it up. And I wish that, Jim, you probably know, I don't know, like with Iron Maiden, like right now I could tell you if Adrian's playing a solo, if Janik is playing a solo, if Dave Murray's playing a solo. Like these
You can
guys,
tell their styles.
right? But these I don't know.
They're tough.
They kind of blend together.
They're kind of tough to
you
tell.
can kind of say, okay, that's a little different.
Wurzel, to my ears, was more of like a Yannick kind of fly by the seat of your pants type of guy, whereas Phil was more like your traditional,
A little more
thought out,
methodical.
Yeah, but that's what to my ears. But somebody could show me who played this, and I could be totally wrong. I'm just
Right.
basing on having heard
Yeah.
Phil Campbell as a three-piece with them all these years.
Right. And I like when bands differentiate that. And I'm going to go off the path a little bit here. The new Denman album, Raw Deal. I did the Patreon thing. I pre-ordered it. I got my shirt. I got the signed album thing. And they have a new drummer, BC. Ted is out. New dude in there. But the album is fucking kick-ass. But when you open the album up and you take out the liner notes, it has first solo Dakota, second solo Ben, the next song first solo Ben, second.
Priest used to do that
solo.
too. You
Yeah,
would have a list.
and I like that, but that's what gets you used to how guys sound.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a band that you don't get to see live a lot, and, if it's a band that we've seen a bunch of times, you would know. And even like with Maiden, you've seen the videos. This guy plays that, and this guy plays that, and you kind of piece together the rest of the album.
Another secret to the Maiden solos: who's got the songwriting credit usually takes the first solo.
And I'm a Adrian Smith fan myself.
Oh, he's. You ever see him playing the Stevie Ray? Ooh.
He's fucking phenomenal. He's phenomenal. Then we zip into. I'll go back into Motörhead now. Check out the new Denman album. I'll give them a commercial here because it's fucking awesome. Yeah. The album, it was originally, when we talked to these guys in May, it was supposed to come out in September. I'm not sure what took place there. It came out this year, 2019. Totally worth the wait. What do you think, BC? Let's do a little Denman review here.
Definitely worth the wait. Because, like you said, if it's supposed to come out in September, then it was like, you can start getting like, because like we're going through something else with some other band releasing something, but it never came, but is now coming. But it was real worth the wait. I mean, it's just it's.
I mean, because when we saw them at the third day of M3, the sleazy, slimy Sunday. Boy, I actually remembered it this time. We saw Denman, and they played Prison City at that show in Maryland. And me and BC were like, holy fuck, that's like almost like a thrash song. Really. And we were like, holy shit. And we talked to Dakota and Ben after the show, and we said, man, that song was heavy. And it was written about a prison that is up by where they used to live in New York State. And like the town that the prison was in. And it's just like, it's shredding. And that album is great. So you guys, seriously, get out there. Check it out. Denman, Raw Deal. Great band, young guys, just kick ass. You listen to this album, you think these guys have put out 20 fucking albums. Just fucking excellent. All right, Dakota and Ben, you guys fucking rock. So then we slip back into, as Jim would say, the epic Ramones song. A whole minute and 26 seconds of it. Short but
you
sweet.
missed it.
Short but sweet. And I think it's a perfect tribute song to the Ramones. Like the way it sounds, the way it is, the length of it. I think it's perfect. And I like how they spell it. So if you don't know how to spell Ramones, BC, listen to the song. You know how to spell Ramones at the end of the song. See, there's your spelling lesson for today.
The two.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was going to be any math.
Yeah. Shut You Down. Great opening riff. Another kick-ass song. Very aggressive song. And we talked a little bit. These guys talked a little bit about 1916. Jim, this is the song that I was talking about before.
Yeah, I figured it was. What do I win?
Case of notoriety.
You get invited back for another show.
Right.
That's the door prize for
I got
tonight.
that meat going.
I listened to the song. I was like, oh my god! Like you said, it's a tribute to the Battle of the Somme, World War I, and like you said, like 20,000 guys got killed in like an hour or something like that, like some ridiculous amount of time, and like generations were wiped out. You know, the whole youth of a town were wiped out in
Just
this
get up and march,
in
boys.
this battle. But you listen to this song, and BB, you're right. This should be like a memorial.
I think I
kind of
found
thing.
a video on YouTube, and I probably did put it out for like Memorial Day or something like that. I put it on my Facebook page where somebody did do that.
Oh.
And I'll have to look for it, and I'll send it to your Potted in Hell page. And it is really, it's just, to me, this is what a ballad should be. It's truthful. It's from the heart.
You're like your guts are like churning by the time it's done.
Lemmy has said that he a fan played it for his grandfather who was there, and his grandfather had brought him to tears, and Lemmy said, I feel bad bringing a guy to tears, but it also vindicated that I did it right.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to read the lyrics to it. I don't like to usually do like a whole song, but it's amazing. 16 years old when I went to the war to fight for a land fit for heroes. God on my side, gun in my hand, chasing my days down to zero. I marched and I fought, I bled and I died. I never did get any older. But I knew at the time that a year in the line was long enough life for a soldier. We all volunteered, we wrote down the names, and we added 2 years to our ages. Eager for life, ahead of the game, ready for history's pages. We brawled and we fought, we hoarded and we stood, 10,000 shoulder to shoulder. A thirst for the Hun, we were food for the gun, and that's what you are when you're soldiers. I heard my friend cry as he sank to his knees, coughing blood as he screamed for his mother. And I fell by his side, and that's how he died, clinging like kids to each other. When he sang that part, I was just like, holy fuck. Like, you can picture the guy, like, in the trench. And then it goes on, I'm sorry. I lay in the mud, the guts and the blood, and I wept as his body grew colder. And I called for my mother, and she never came, though it wasn't my fault, and I wasn't to blame. The day was not half over, 10,000 slain. And now there's nobody remembers our names. That's how it is for a soldier. Like, holy,
It doesn't get any better than that.
It's like, you get done with that song and you're like, oh my God, I never want to hear that again, but I want to hear that again. Like, it was just so, like...
On a personal note, my grandfather was one of Pershing's soldiers on the first trip over during World War I, and he was gassed in the trenches. And when I hear this song, I think of him. I never met him. He, like I said, he was gassed. Then he went to work in the mines, so his lungs were shot, and he was dead at 50.
Wow.
But it's just like, I just think about him and all the other guys who went over there for that war. It was such a different one than...
They say it was the first modern war, really.
Yeah.
And
the birth of the machine gun.
And it seems to be
mowed them down.
like a forgotten war, kind of like, between World War I and like Korea.
It wasn't a glamorous war. It was just trenches.
Slugfest. It was just a goddamn slugfest.
You'd fight and die for a few measly yards.
But I mean, just crazy that album, like, ended with that. It was just insane. But just a fantastic album. I think it's great. And like I said, I think it was the most consistent sounding album of all the four. Really cool though. I mean, I like doing these. I like doing these ones, and I don't like doing more than one Motörhead thing a year, because they have 22 studio albums, so we can do this again. Not to say that we won't have Jim back for something other than Motörhead, but just it's always cool to just like throw this stuff on. I had heard most of the stuff before, but never really listened to it. It was like an album you throw on and it'd be kind of like background music. And a lot of people say, "Oh, the Motörhead stuff, it sounds the same." It does in a way. But it's
jazz.
Not. You know what I mean? It's hard to.
It's hard. It has the same elements.
To say.
But you find yourself like.
I don't.
No matter if
you're still sucked into it.
Yeah. It's still just.
I find that when I don't want to cut my grass, I'll play some Motörhead and it'll die, and I won't have to worry about it.
There you go.
I used to say that if we move next door to you, your lawn would die.
That's awesome. You guys out there, what do you guys think about? What's your thoughts about Motörhead? What's your thoughts on the once Fast Eddie Clark was gone? Are there Motörhead fans out there, Jim, that are like Kiss fans? Like if it's not the original 3, it's shit.
Yeah, there are a few, but we don't talk to them. It's just Lemmy even said, oh, the classic lineup. Well, this lineup's been together for 17 years. This is the
much longer than.
Yeah, it's those for nostalgia, and I think if you didn't see the new lineup, yeah, you might be able to. We got lucky enough to see the new lineup, and it's like they punch in your face, you stood on your throat, and they rocked you. They were a great rock and roll band. And that's basically what it was. And if you didn't get a chance to see him, you missed a good one. You really did, because there will never be another Motörhead. And they were they were a force of nature. I mean, one of the loudest things I've ever experienced is a Motörhead show. They said they were 130 dB coming off of the back line alone. And can you imagine with that force through the PA? It's just, I have permanent hearing loss in my one ear, and I know where it's from. The PA stack was there. It's a perverted badge of honor for me.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I said, they were just the one and the only, and I'm just blessed that I got to see him a handful of times, and got to meet Lemmy, and that was awesome.
That's cool. I was fortunate enough to see them twice. I saw them. They opened up for the Tony Martin version of Black Sabbath, and we saw them at Harvey's Lake. That was the first night of the BB Lean.
The BB Lean.
We have something that's called the BB Lean. BB's been known to fall asleep in the weirdest places. In the
Wait a
weirdest
minute, you fell asleep
times.
during Motorhead?
No, he fell asleep during Black Sabbath.
Okay,
Black Sabbath.
Okay. I can kind of see it.
We got there early in the day, right? We got there early in the day, and it was me and BC, and we had tickets, but we didn't have like Gold Circle tickets. Remember Harvey's Lake? I love that place. So I told BC, I said we need to get up front, but we get in the venue and it poured like a motherfucker. It just you couldn't see 10 feet in front of you. It rained so hard. So it was supposed to be Kix, Motörhead, and Black Sabbath. Kix got rained out.
Oh.
BC left to go to the bathroom, and he jumped over the fence and he met the guys from Kix, and that's how we found out they weren't going to play.
That wooden area.
Yeah.
It wasn't a fence. It was like you were here and you looked down where they came out from backstage or something.
I was always amazed that they built that stage precisely the dimensions to fit a tractor trailer backed up to it, because the nose of the trailer was literally this far off of the white line of the highway.
Yeah. Yeah. So we found out from BC that Kix wasn't playing. So we wanted to go up front, so I totally bullshitted the security guys for giving me a wristband to go up the front. So I got the three of us up there, so we're, and if you guys know me, I always can get extra stuff a lot of places. Get free tickets and VIPs and kind of, get
finagle his way up front.
Shit. So we kind of hung out. Was there 4 bands?
3. 3 I remember.
I'm trying to think, because
Kix, Motörhead, and
because
I don't been a local band maybe. I don't know.
I don't remember, because we watched Motörhead from further back. I think we were up front and then it rained and then we were back in the back. Anyway, so back to the BB Lean. So we watched Motörhead. Motörhead like rocked, and then so Black Sabbath comes on, and I'm a massive Tony Martin Black Sabbath fan.
Great singer.
Love this Black Sabbath stuff with Tony Martin. So all of a sudden, me and BC were there rocking. We're like, where the hell did BB go? And they have the white stackable chairs where the seats and it was like an small outside amphitheater.
An old drive-in theater.
Yeah. So we're looking around. We're like, and here's BB in one of the chairs, and he's fast asleep.
He's roofing,
like leaning against the fence, and it happens like not. It hasn't really happened again at a show. But like we literally, I forget. I think you drove BC. I don't know how the fuck we even got home that night, because we like literally drank all day long.
Those are the days you wish you had a cell phone.
I know. Yeah, we definitely got home by the Force that night. Don't try this at home, kids. And it was a cool show. That was the first time I got to see Motörhead, and then BC and I got to see Motörhead at Madison Square Garden. It was Motörhead, Dio,
Dio.
and Maiden, and it was on the Edward the Great tour when we saw them at the Garden.
A guy
It
I
was
work
just a
with got to
phenomenal
buy
show.
Lemmy a drink at that show at Harvey's Lake. He went to take a piss. He went over to the bar and buying a drink, and he's lo and behold, Lemmy's there. So he goes over, hey, can I buy you a drink? And he said, yeah, a rum and coke. So he bought him a rum and coke.
There you go. Bought Lemmy and Lemmy.
Let me.
Cool. All right, let's wrap up. We'll go around the table, we'll say our final crap here, and we'll bail the fuck out of here.
Trying to get rid of me?
We're getting rid of all of us.
Yeah, these last couple of days, I sent Steve a text this morning. I listened to so much Motörhead these last 4 days. I have like Motörhead migraine.
Motörhead head.
And you're better for it.
And I am better for it because these guys kick ass. You know, to say it lightly. You know, the drums and bass work of this band is amazing, and I'm surprised like nobody has ever tried to ride their coattails because they're just it's just a fantastic sound that they make. And another thing to add, what a great way to end the episode with that 1916 song. It's just fantastic.
I agree with you. Like I said, they were a force of nature. You're never going to get those group of musicians together to make the music that they did. And it was just a pure love of rock and roll and playing it as loud as you can because they were getting deafer and deafer as the years go on, and they just turn it up. And that was it. I mean, I remember when we were at the Tower Theater and we were getting ready to go in, and Crowbot, which was the first band to go on, were louder than headliners that we have heard. And we were just out in the lobby listening. I'm like, oh, this is just going to be unbelievable. And it wasn't like they buried you with it. The songs were there. The musicianship was there. The class was there.
Wasn't Crowbot a Dave Grohl band?
No,
Not that
no?
I'm aware of. They're from State College.
Yeah, I know what you're thinking.
He's in some kind of bot band, though, right? Something like that. Some kind of name like
Oh,
that.
these
I didn't
they
mean
call
that
them. They call their fans a bunch of beardos.
Beardos. Yeah, they're from
How many
State
times have you seen Motörhead?
Not enough. 3, 4. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
It's been not enough. I wish I saw them more. I really
Yeah.
do. I really wish I saw them more, but unfortunately, our paths didn't cross.
No one's seeing them anymore.
Yeah.
Again, listening to these albums and the time frame is like, how do we not? I don't know. How do we not get like found these guys even sooner, or how did it get on the radar? I guess you would say.
I think I may have told the story the last time I was here when we were talking about the first time I heard Motörhead. I bought a stack of albums, and I was had them put aside, and then it was Holy Saturday. I went to the Epic Mass, and I got home, and I'm like, I'm looking for something. I said, wait a minute, I haven't played No Sleep for Hammersmith. And it just like, that was it. My ears were pinned back, and I've been in love with them ever since.
All right, cool. First of all, I want to thank Jim for coming on the
Always
podcast
a pleasure.
again.
Thank you for having me.
And thank my co-hosts here, BB.
Hey, you didn't push record.
Oh boy!
Do over. And like I said, my first time playing the keyboards on the podcast.
And it wasn't the one key that you just kept hitting over and over and over.
Not over and over, once or twice. But you guys are awesome, Jim. It's always a pleasure having you
Thank
on
you.
here.
Thank you very much.
It's great to get your insight, and I don't
The knowledge.
mind. Yeah,
You know.
and I don't mind going off the grid, talking about other stuff. And it's always good to, believe me, we're not experts on anything, but it is always good to get someone with a deeper knowledge of stuff.
And he was a few years older. He got into the places that we couldn't.
right, yeah, like that show with autographs. Like, and now that you say that, there were a lot of 21
Someday
and older
I'll
shows.
tell you about seeing Elf.
Oh my god!
And we also hate Jim.
Jim will not be allowed back.
And he doesn't mean Elf the movie either.
No. Which is a good, feel good.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Buddy the Elf.
Buddy.
That's what we're gonna start calling you, BB. We'll call you BE.
Buddy the Elf.
Buddy Elf.
Esquire.
So yeah. Thank you guys out there, and let me. We have a couple of reviews from Facebook that I want to read real quick. Bill Elam, appreciate your Bill Elam comments on a lot of our stuff, interacts with us. He wrote us a great recommendation on Facebook. Love the show. Great variety of episode formats with hosts and wonderful chemistry. Thank you, Bill. Definitely appreciate it. And we have another one from Mike Jones. Bunch of serious rock fans talking up the classics and lesser knowns. Keep it up, gentlemen. So,
Right.
Mike Jones, Bill Elam, thank you for your reviews. Guys, give us some reviews. Facebook is great. Podchaser is excellent. iTunes, 5-star reviews really help us out. It gets our podcast out there more. And we are now on Spotify also. So if you're you don't have iTunes or we're on Google Play, we're on wherever you could pretty much get a podcast. So check us out on Spotify and check out our Spotify playlist that will be on the credits of this show, and you'll be able to hear some of these awesome Motörhead songs that we talked about today. And I'm so grateful that Jim comes on the show with us, and I like delving into the Motörhead stuff. And like I said, they're not. People think heavy metal. Like the
rock and
average
roll.
person out there think heavy metal when they hear Motörhead, but that is so wrong.
So wrong, yeah.
Once you listen to these guys and delve into them, they are not heavy metal. They are a rock band. They are just.
I've said it
There's
before.
elements of metal there, absolutely, but it's so much more.
I said it
It is just
before.
so much more.
You take the volume away, you put acoustics in your hand, and you have all Lemmys influences right there. Little Richard, Bill Haley in the comments. It's all there, just amplified.
Right, and you could hear those elements in the songs. Like that one song I said, it just reminds me of. It reminded me of Rock Around the Clock. It just does, and just a great band. Lemmy is definitely a severe blow to the rock and roll community when he
is
passed
missed.
away. But there's a guy that just lived life, and I don't think they had to embalm him when he died. It was probably just immediately preserved. That's how you're going to be, BC. You're not going to have to embalm BC either. He's just going to.
Well, what was that story that Lemmy had a blood disorder and they were going to change his blood, and the doctor said, "No, we give you clean blood; it'll kill you."
It'll kill you. Yeah, no shit.
I don't know how true it is, but that's a great story.
Yeah. So you guys get out there, delve into some of these deeper albums of Motörhead. Don't just say, I like Ace of Spades and that's it.
Yeah, listen to him. Your
Dig in
neighbors will
deeper,
appreciate it.
definitely. And I definitely like the 2-guitar version of Motörhead. It's especially live because it chunks up the sound live. Because you have Lemmy's. It's bass, but he's playing chords on it.
Yeah,
He's playing rhythm guitar
playing
on
rhythm
bass.
guitar.
But you have that extra guitar there, especially when the solos kick in. You have that extra element in there, and it's just a great band. And I want to thank all you guys. Thank you guys here for coming here and putting up with us. We will see you out there on the road. We will see you next time, and there will be a next time.